Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind podcast. On this week's show, we're going to recap the main event of Fight to Win 239 happened here in Baltimore, Maryland that I had a chance to commentate. Talk a little about the SOGI, the men's 8-man lightweight bracket that Max Hanson took home. We are going to preview Polaris. Polaris has some great matchups on the card, including a matchup between Craig Jones, the return of Kendall Reusing. And it'll be a fun show. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, my co-host.
Miranda.
How you doing, Miranda?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It's a bit of a lighter week, mainly because we typically would be covering Fight to Win, but historically, events that we commentate, we tend to not then recap on the show because if you want to get our takes on the matchups, well, you can kind of just listen to us do commentary, which puts us in a funny spot here because there weren't a ton of events this weekend.
No, there wasn't.
But it gives us a chance to look into some of the Polaris card, the upcoming Grapplefest card. Potentially, we have Dante Leon headlining this next weekend on Fight to Win, but we're not sure.
Yeah, I saw a post that no longer exists. It was like a story. I always find these stories and I never screenshot them. And what I should start doing is screenshotting them when I see them, because then I look back and I'm like, Miranda, were you half asleep when you read that, or did you actually read it?
Did you dream that?
But I swore he said something like, I'm doing Fight to Win at heavyweight in the gi or something like that. And I was like, what the fuck you doing? And then
Dante's going to hear this and go, I never said that.
Yeah. And
again, so Dante has been doing a bunch of heavyweight matchups recently.
I did screenshot it.
Oh, you did screenshot. Okay.
I did screenshot it.
We'll be competing on Fight to Win Cleveland next Saturday, main event gi match.
Yes.
Now, we can't buy tickets for it right now.
Yeah.
So we don't see Dante Leon in the ticket drop down for that event. So that we haven't seen that matchup
But he
yet.
posted it at some point.
But he did post it, so potentially going to be able to cover a Dante Leon match.
I actually
He's
did what I was supposed to do.
Gigantic recently.
Dude.
Just posting videos of him repping 110-pound dumbbells.
The one time was 120 because they were joking around that
They're rooster weights.
he basically had a rooster weight in each hand.
Yeah. So Dante is
wild.
looking jacked. Ahead of his upcoming Who's Number One matchup. Maybe we can talk about a little bit that today. But let's move in. There's not a whole lot of news this week.
No.
We had the European No-Gi Championships. There were some really fun matches on that. Funny enough, we saw Oliver Taza versus Tommy Langakker, which is actually going to be on Polaris.
Yeah.
So it'll be literally a rematch a week after, which we've had this happen a bunch of times over the course of
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Grappling. It's always fun. It's always interesting because, especially with Polaris having a different rule set than the IBJJF, you can get a wildly different looking match. And so I always think it's very funny. We had the same thing happen with Conor Duarte and Nicky Rod.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks after ADCC, they were the main event on Fight to Win Philly.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
And it's always interesting how those different rule sets kind of inform what the grappling looks like.
If we go into our main event at Fight to Win this weekend.
Yeah, let's start there.
It was Estevan Martinez versus
Tadiyah Danforth.
Yeah. The two of them have gone against each other a million times in IBJJF.
Yeah. So I talked to them a little bit backstage. So you and your notes were 4 times, and then they only talked about 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
But because they talked backstage after because they were the last event and people kind of cleared out, and then it's just those folks talking. And I came over into their conversation and congratulated them both on their match. Got a chance to call their match. They were both like, "Oh, you called their match?" I was like, "I did," and they were happy to see me, which was awesome, and it felt really nice.
But they had won against each other multiple times.
Yeah, and Estevan has beaten until the match on Fight to Win 239 happened this weekend in Baltimore. Estevan had beaten Tadiyah at least 2 times that they were talking about recently.
Because I've pulled it from somewhere online. I don't remember if it was Flow or if it was...
Was it Heroes?
Heroes. It was one of them. I pulled it. And
BJJ records to this day in 2023 are still notoriously hard to get a hold of and to get correct and to get updated. So you're this might be... The last time this guy's record got updated was 6 or 8 months ago. It's not infrequent. For men's records, for women's records, it's even harder.
Yeah, who knows where your shit is. It's all over the place. But... they at least had met each other at IBJJF. And I think the IBJJF rule set... is a different rule set than sub only, which was what Fight to Win is.
Yeah, I mean it's a very different rule set. I think, but it informs how the guys would play. Estevan, and you can kind of see that in this match this weekend. The main event is approaches he has a style that is better to beat Tadiyah in IBJJF, whereas Tadiyah in
because he spams subs.
He just
subs.
goes.
Yeah. And
Estevan stands like passing
Yeah.
and like positional work, but a lot of times we'll kind of wait till he gets onto you before he starts setting up subs.
Yeah,
Tadiyah with that more active
yeah.
open guard.
It's like the position to submission as opposed to just submission.
Or just position.
So
it was a really interesting back and forth match. But you can hear myself and Josh Weinstock, also of the Grappling Rewind, call the match. It was awesome. Like Josh and Zach both commentated with me throughout the night because Josh actually had a match on the card that he won. And so those guys pulled double duty this week with kind of commentating. It was awesome to have them. This is the first time that Grappling Rewind has actually got a chance to ever commentate on Flow Grappling, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep, we've been on Flow Grappling for other stuff. Like I'm in both Nicky Rod documentaries.
Yeah.
Like we pop up at various places, but it is the first time that we have been like called to actually commentate an event on Flow. So that was a really cool opportunity. Okay. It was great. Josh and Zach really stepped up and did a phenomenal job and like very much carried the commentary because it was just one of those nights where I didn't feel like I was super on. We've got some great feedback. If you do hear us on the Fight to Win 239 commentary and you have feedback for us, like let us know. We do a lot of commentary and we do commentary pretty frequently of an event. Actually, Zach and I are going and doing commentary this next weekend at Copa, Virginia. Let us know what you hear. If you hear your stuff we can improve or stuff you really like that we do, let us know. And it's awesome to, get that feedback so that we can grow as commentators and be able to provide better commentary for jiu-jitsu.
Weirdly enough, at one point during my match, I could hear you guys.
You got close. You had a match on the card as well.
And I at one point could hear you guys. And as I was hearing you guys, I wanted to be like, I wanted to scream back at you guys, and then I realized I was in the middle of something and I was unable.
We were talking. And,
did I look?
What happened is, for the Fight to Win commentary, if you've never seen Fight to Win, absolutely tune into Fight to Win. They're great events. They're a lot of fun. Go to them locally. We've been covering Fight to Win since Fight to Win 52.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of Fight to Wins, almost 200 of them. And Fight to Win puts the commentary table right next to the stage, which was funny for me. We'll get to you talking to us in a second.
Yeah, because you were also short.
I am very short.
Yeah.
And so I had to go into the back and go, hey, guys, I am not joking. Do you have like foam or like essentially a booster seat that I can sit up on? Because sitting at that table, I am below eye level of the stage.
Yeah.
And so they went, haha. I was like, they were, oh, you're serious. I'm serious. I can't see the mat effectively because I'm so close to the stage. And they went, okay, so they fixed it. They rose me up like 3 inches with a little platform. Yeah. And it felt very funny because Josh is about my same height, but he's proportional differently, so he didn't have as much of a problem. Yeah. Zach is what, like 6'3" or something, 6'2", 6'3".
Zach
had
no
gentleman. Issue seeing, but it was just very funny to have that need to happen. Of, hey guys, I'm really short. I can't see the stage effectively. So they did that. It was a great event, but I was in the taller chair, and so we were commentating your match on the card, and we said something, and I watched you look over. You made direct eye contact with me, and I was like, please, Miranda, do not start talking to me because I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this on commentary to get back. And you looked at me and you went, and then you just kept doing what you were doing. But I could see and tell after again years of doing this show with you.
I could hear you.
Yeah, you weren't doing commentary this week because you typically done commentary and competed, but it is not your favorite.
In the past, I did commentary and competed on the same day.
Because I got sick. I got COVID. And like morning of, I got COVID.
You got COVID
I
that morning.
Go.
And so I did both. And that was the day I blew out my hamstring. So
you tore it.
So I said I would do it after I competed. And then I completely forgot because I had way too much shit going on. Yeah. Like once I competed. But anyway.
But we've worked together for years in talking. And so it was very funny to have you look. And I went, she's going to talk to me. She wants to say something right now. And then you like held it and kept competing. But yeah, it was a fun card. A lot we saw again. I love Fight to Win because you see a bunch of local talent come out. Yeah. And a lot of folks that we just saw at the U.S. trials, the North American trials, got a chance to get matches on Fight to Win. And so that people. The card is booked a little later than they usually are. Yeah. But I loved that it was so close to trials for the East Coast because I think there were almost not half the card, but at least a fourth of the card probably had just went and done trials.
I would think so.
And had like 6 or 8 week camps leading up to trials. So it's like, even if it was booked a little shorter, everyone looked in phenomenal shape.
Yeah.
And everyone had a little chip on their shoulder too, which I thought was real funny. Like
I didn't
everyone
realize
just
that.
came in because no one on the card had won trials.
Yeah.
And so everyone came in looking to kind of show and
That makes
put a
sense.
stamp on it. So overall, it was a great evening of matches. It was awesome to get a chance and an opportunity to commentate Fight to Win.
Yeah.
Fun. I think I have had to have commentated a match from you before.
No,
I've commentated Josh before.
I don't think you've ever commentated me before.
Oh, that's funny.
Zach is who commentated me before.
Yeah, Zach commentated last
Zach
time.
commentated me getting my leg blown.
Your leg blown out.
Yeah.
I've commentated Josh's matches
But,
before. I've commentated your matches now.
Yeah, I don't think you've commentated anything else I've done, because I don't think I've ever done anything in front of you guys. But anyway,
Yeah.
it was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was
yeah.
it was awesome to have Fight to Win back. Fight to Win hasn't been back to Baltimore since right before ADCC 2019.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
been
they've
a
been
long
up to
time.
Philly, but like the Baltimore crowd.
Well,
the Philly
because
crowd are a little different.
and during the middle of COVID, they did a couple shows in Philly. I think until they got shut down. So I think
that was
they're-
kind of the hub for a little
Yeah.
bit, but we never made it back to Baltimore. So it was awesome to have them back at the UMBC Arena, and be able to work with the Fight to Win team again, because worked with media for them for 6+ years at this point. They are, I think, one of the first events, if not the first event, that actually was nice enough to give us media credentials to go and interview the athletes after. And so, very warm spot in my heart for Fight to Win, working with all those folks for all the years, and really happy to be able to commentate and do the matches.
It's also one of those events where everybody's just kind of walking around.
Yeah, it's a party. They have a party at Fight to Win, and you get your gym together, you get your folks together, and everyone kind of hangs out and watch matches, and puts dollars on who they think is gonna win.
Yeah.
We saw some other matches on the card. We saw Elijah Dorsey's brother, Corey Dorsey, which I haven't seen a lot of his matches before. We also saw Diallo Braithwaite, a guy we've seen a bunch on Copa Virginia. And Copa Elite that looked really good at trials as well. That a guy that I think we will continue to see.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson looked not Anderson.
Dorsey.
Corey Dorsey looked really good. I assume that we're going to see more from him coming up in the near future, especially with his brother. We had a couple of siblings on the card throughout the night. Some folks took multiple matches. It was a fun night.
Yeah. It was an interesting night.
As a competitor, any other kind of thoughts on the card or on the night? Josh has talked about doing Fight to Win a couple of times on the show at this point, but do you have what's your experience?
No, I mean, I don't really have. I'll pull back the curtain. I took a match on 3 days' notice, a belt rank up to a chick who has killed me multiple times. So I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, but I was trying to test the waters to see exactly how much she would destroy me, like she normally does. But I didn't get subbed, so and I must have done some kind of crazy arm bar escape that freaked everyone out, because I got so many messages that were like, "Is your arm okay?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't know what you're talking about."
I didn't. Yeah, it was. you had 2 moments there where it was extended. One of them was deep, and you talked about it I think right before trials. After day one on trials, you were like, "I don't like tap the arm bars," and I was hearing you say that on our day one ADCC day one recap or ADCC trials day one recap show.
I don't think her grip was sufficient enough to really. I mean, she definitely had it, but I just remember every time just shaking it off.
All I could hear on commentary was you during that show, I don't like tap the arm bars, and I was like, oh god,
I don't like tapping the arm bars. That is one of my things. But it was fun. I didn't take it. I mean, I lost the decision. I'll admit to that. But it was fun. I had a good time. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was what
events.
it is.
It was fun to get everyone together and again
Yeah.
do some commentary and to have you and the other folks that we train with compete. It was nice.
Yeah, I didn't realize
actually,
I looked straight at you, which is even funny.
It was you made direct eye contact and like, oh, I thought you were going to talk.
Well,
to me.
because in matches I talk shit to people in matches sometimes, and so
your corner, your corner freaking Miranda. I've cornered you enough times now. Where
I start
you've
talking
seen
shit
you
back
talk
at
to
you.
me, and I'm like, why are you talking to me?
Because I used to do that. My first old coach, I used to do that, and it used to piss him off so much. Because he would be, I was like, I can't do that. And he would tell me something. I'd be like, I can't do that. And he would just look at me and I was like, what? I'm freaking telling you, tell me something else. I can't do what you're telling me to do. Anyway.
It was fun. Fight to Win 239. And go listen to it on Flow Grappling. All the matches should be up there.
I have some really crazy Halloween pants on. That's how you can find my match.
Yep.
Yeah.
You were one of the only a few women's matches on the card.
Yeah.
So Represent.
It is what it is.
It was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
Anything else on that one before we move on to the next?
I don't think so.
All right, let's talk about the main event for SOGI. SOGI, Max Hanson takes it via heel hook over Sid Travalo. This was an 8-man bracket. Both guys look good up in their run. Max Hanson is now, do you have a screenshot of it?
I do, because I sent it to you guys. He is the champion of everything, basically.
Yeah. Like 2 division.
So he is now the champ in finishers sub only, and I believe 2 divisions.
At 55 and 70.
Midwest finishers sub only.
55 and 70.
Sapatero Invitational, I mean.
I think
55 and 70.
55 and 70.
Twisted.
One of the finishers, he's not both champs.
Yeah, Twisted Church.
55, I think.
Enigma,
it might be welterweight.
Enigma Jiu-Jitsu official.
55.
Don't tap champ.
Yep.
SOGI and Summit Grappling.
Yeah. So he's
both for finishers, because I remember watching both of his matches and watching both of his wins.
Yeah.
So it must be Midwest finishers that he's not.
Only one division champ for Max Hanson.
Yeah.
So Max Hanson is also on this upcoming Fight to Win card in Cleveland, Ohio, Fight to Win 240. He looked good versus Sid.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always really impressed with Max Hanson's leg lock entries. We know Sid has a really, really difficult guard. We saw that at the East Coast Trials.
Yeah.
We saw that at pretty much every match we've seen Sid Travalo in. He plays a low kind of styled rubber guard that he is willing to loop through and push in front of and then go into the legs from there. So the fact that Max was able to deal with that and then come into his own legs and then eventually slide through, get a heel hook, and then he didn't even need to like crank on it. Sid tapped pretty quickly once Max had kind of locked and started to like adjust his hips in, which we had a very close camera angle. I always appreciate when I don't have to watch someone's leg explode. So yeah, Max Hanson takes another one. He did what I hope more competitors do in his post-fight on SOGI. They brought him out. Chris came out with the mic, and they started talking. And Max went through all of his accomplishments and went, "Look, I want to be on the next Who's Number One card."
Yeah.
And I like guys pushing for what they want to do next. He's, "Look, I'm the champion in all these organizations. I'm looking for that next slot, that next opportunity, next slot."
It's good when they tell you everything too, because there's so many different competitions, and I mean, even us, we watch a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it's hard to keep track of it all. So
I know Max is champion here and here, but to have someone go, "Look, these are my credentials as I run."
He's basically went through and like everything that was
every sub only thing,
every like mid range, because he even says it. He says that Dante told him that that's all like, I think college. I think he was saying he was saying it was
really good posting analogy.
Yeah.
Because Dante Leon's his coach. And he was like, "Yeah, these are all." It was like.
I'm gonna read it.
High school or college
He said,
events.
"My coach Dante always explained to me these promotions are like college football. I feel that I'm ready for the big leagues."
Which I think is right.
That being said, if there's cash on the line, I'm going to be there. So, it's the truth. I mean, he's run through every kind of local regional.
Yeah.
That's gone through. So
every cash. If there's I also love the caveat there. Like, hey, I'm looking for the big leagues. But if there's money on the line,
I'll
be there.
Yeah.
And I appreciate folks like that still on the grind and still pushing for, hey, a cash prize will get me in the door. Like if there's money on the line, I will be here.
Yeah.
And so like that excites me. I like to see grapplers getting paid. I love that SOGI is paying him $2,000 to do that.
And I mean, he has 55 and 70. They're your 2 biggest brackets when you think about it.
Those are your bell curve of like your talent. So he's not in a division that maybe is a little weaker. He is in some of the strongest, if not the strongest men's divisions in the sport. Where you have your bell curve of average athletic male talent.
Yeah.
It's cool. And I like that he's the right size to kind of bounce between them and then is able to do that consistently. I mean, then he defended the finisher's title on the same day in 2 different weight classes.
Yeah.
Impressed very much.
Which meant he had to probably make the lower weight class.
Yeah, they're not going to give him. Yeah, probably had to make 55.
And I appreciate the fact that he still goes by the name Maximilian.
Yeah. That's such a badass name.
It is.
I'm trying to get Rachel to have her kid named that, but she's not.
Maximilian?
Not about it.
Oh, man.
So it's like not that was it
sounds
shot
like
down,
your kid will be really rich.
That was shot down years ago. She was like,
they'll grow up and make a lot of money if their name is Maximilian.
So yeah, looking forward to more from Max Hanson. Again, I really hope that one of not that the persons that he's on now aren't like great and fantastic. I absolutely cover them. I want to put him on that bigger stage against those big world-ranked tournament guys.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see kind of how his career continues to develop, especially with the frequency of him competing out there.
And I mean, he does all the IBJJFs too, so it's not like he's not stopping.
You have a frequent competitor that wants more, and he's earned it, I think. I will hope that someone, from one of those big tentpole promotions picks him in, brings him in, and gives him a shot. I mean, he's already been on those before many times, but don't laugh at me, Miranda. What else we got?
So then we also had the catch wrestling championships.
Oh, yeah. You sent me this.
Yeah.
We had Josh Barnett taking on Owen Livesey.
Yeah.
Spouse is on the Polaris card, but Owen himself is not on the upcoming Polaris card.
No, and Owen is a previous catch wrestling champion. I think he won like 2 years ago, or he's done these tournaments before.
Okay.
Because the one catch organization is out of the United Kingdom.
Yeah. Is it Snake Pit out of the United Kingdom, or is the other
Snake
one?
Pit is the United States version.
Okay.
I think it's the same name. I think it's still Snake Pit. So
you looked at the rules. We don't cover catch wrestling a ton on the show because generally
it's
there are
Snake
very
Pit,
few.
Wagon. Oh, that's the town it's in. Oh, huh.
Okay.
Yeah, it is Snake Pit. So you can be pinned for 3 seconds. So both shoulders down.
Like traditional wrestling.
Yeah. But there are no rear naked chokes and no guillotines.
So anything you said it on the pre-show basically, nothing that you have to have an arm in.
You have to have an arm in to do a choke.
Again, we don't cover catch wrestling a ton on the podcast. I think Zapatero occasionally run catch wrestling events. Snake Pit runs them.
I think Zapatero got
cease and desist.
Yeah, the
Snake Pit.
The American version of Snake Pit is very litigious.
Yeah. So they don't run those. They used to run them, but I think, and Quentin Rosenwig was the champion previously in that. So this was not a very action-packed match between Owen and Josh Barnett.
Josh Barnett, I didn't realize he was like 45 years old. But he has a lot of gray in that beard.
Mm-hmm.
And
War Master.
But he's still,
for a while he was the youngest UFC champion. For a while, I think he was the first youngest UFC champion.
I mean, he's jacked. He's still a jacked gentleman.
Yeah, and he's gigantic.
Yeah.
But Owen, it was funny. Owen was barefoot in this, and Josh Barnett had shoes on.
Yeah.
And Owen foot swept him. And that was one of the bigger takedowns. Kind of staggered Josh. Josh goes down. They kind of get eventually back to the center, and then Barnett spends a ton of time in
Let's say this because he actually followed his takedown down.
Yeah.
Which we know in the past has been kind of an issue with him where he foot sweeps somebody and then doesn't follow.
I think you said he's talked about it before too. Or no?
I don't know he's ever talked about it. Everyone else has always talked about it. Like because
Nicky Rod, remember, he foot sweeps Nicky Rod at Quintet
and he doesn't follow him.
Doesn't chase him down. He chased Josh Barnett down immediately.
Yeah. And he's done it. He's done it at other tournaments too, where he takes him down and he doesn't follow. Which I mean is not the greatest idea. I think it's a problem that he has, and I think maybe he's realizing that he needs to follow people down when he throws them. Because they're gonna pop back up and be a problem.
It was cool to see him again with a super strong guy like Barnett
and a much larger guy. I think that had to be a catchweight match. There's no way.
There's no way they made the same. Owen's not 200. Is he 200? He's not 200 pounds.
No, because he did.
He's like 86, 186. Or something
he did like 99 at championships, but he was underweight. Because remember he competed at like 88, I think.
Yes, I think that's.
He did 88, but then when they gave him a shot in, it was at 99 because he went against Kynan.
Okay.
First round.
Under 99.
Yeah.
I'm blanking
He went first round against Kynan.
We just need to get a giant printout of all the ADCC brackets and just have it right behind the
camera.
No,
I remember that match because they brought him in last minute and then I met him and I was like, and he was a lot smaller than I expected. Like,
right.
Not in a bad way, but just like I expect him to be a big towering dude.
Well, a lot of times when you meet folks in person, especially for grapplers, because we see them primarily, we cover them on the show every week on television, you go, oh, you are not, like, everyone bumps to Big Dan and goes, I knew he was big, way fucking bigger than I thought. Like, Nicky Rod, it's like, way broader than I thought. But it's a lot of guys have that. Owen, it's like, I expected Owen to be like 6'3".
And he's not.
I was like, I didn't realize that you weren't 6'3".
He's like maybe 5'10".
Yeah.
Like I mean,
and Josh Barnett's 6 something. Like
Yeah.
Josh Barnett's a big dude. So
well, then like Adam Warzinski, I was like, holy shit, you're a tall human.
yeah, same thing with Felipe Andrew. Felipe
Yeah.
Andrew throws me off with how big he is. So moving
But
on to
anyway.
the match, mainly a lot of turtle from Josh
Yeah.
Barnett, but that 4-point turtle,
Yeah,
where you're
with-
kind of like getting, not really working to get up, but
Well,
not willing to roll to get your
I think
get your back flattened.
well, but that's because you don't want to be pinned.
Right.
So like he does almost like in wrestling, like the turtle they do in wrestling,
Yeah.
and they don't want to be like
It's a referee's position.
yeah.
And Owen
But
kind of
like head
rides it
up
like
and
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no guillotine and there's no rear naked choke, so,
So
you
you can-
can't jump the hooks in for the back, and so Owen kind of doesn't. But Josh
Well,
isn't
and the
going to
thing
roll to
is,
his back.
and the thing is, you don't want to pin yourself.
Right.
So if you jump on his back and then he rolls over, and
You
you
know,
pin
Fat Boy
yourself.
roll you, and
know?
or overhook arm
Yeah.
throw you, and that's a really common pin in wrestling and
Yeah.
catch wrestling. There's, I think, again, not to speak poorly of an organization, I think this is one of the reasons why we don't tend to see a lot of catch wrestling is because it's a very limited, in the modern grappling sports, it is even more limited because it's got submissions technically, but because ADCC is so much more open and IBJJF even is so much more open than catch wrestling, there's a big
It's
limitation
also,
on it.
Yeah, it's also a very small community.
Yeah.
Like it's a very it's
There's less practitioners
yeah,
than
it's a
even
very
some of, like, the
and it's a
Libra
very
stuff.
limited small community.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like and it's fun to watch, and some of the earlier matches were definitely smaller dudes that were
And catch can be super fun.
yeah.
It's just a lot of times in these big name matchups, you have them kind of get slow like this because of the limitations
yeah.
and the tactics that come in
that's-
with catch.
But that's even with like IBJJF. and,
Yeah.
That's with every
Mhm.
rule set when you get two guys that know each other, and then they play that game where they don't want to give an inch to the other one because they know what's going to happen. You know. So, but it was fun. Livesey wins by decision.
pretty reasonable decision,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, because he gets him down and he kind of keeps him there.
Yeah, he really controlled the entirety of the match. I don't know where you can find this. You sent me like an Instagram.
I found it on
reel.
I found it on Instagram. The entire match was on a reel on Instagram, and I got sent it by Tim, our Vegas listener.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tim was
awesome.
like Tim because
That dude's awesome.
I posted it on Instagram. I was like, I want to know where to watch this, and then all of a sudden Tim just sends it to me, and I'm like,
Awesome.
freaking Tim.
That is one of
Tim's
my
awesome.
favorite things from the podcast is just the random DMs I get from folks that hear the show.
Yeah,
Or
it's
like,
great.
hey man, you're messing up this name or this or that. Or
Yeah.
like, hey, here's that link that you couldn't find earlier that I
Well,
found, and that's,
yeah.
that is my favorite
Well,
thing
and
to get throughout
and
the
he's
week.
cool because when we go to Vegas, we have a spot to train
Yeah, it's
at.
awesome.
You
I
know,
love
it's
training
just
with him.
like
that
yeah.
guy's awesome.
So
Shout out to him. Shout out
yeah,
to Tim.
so we have yeah. So, but he sent it to me, and it was all in one reel, which was awesome because I was like, I don't want to pay. It was only like $10, but I didn't really want to pay to find it. But that's me being cheap. Anyway,
I think that does it for the
that's yep.
what happened this week. Let's move into.
I don't know Euros.
Oh, so I haven't got a chance to watch a lot. So we had No-Gi Euros,
Yeah.
some great matches. Honestly, there's an account on Instagram that I want to kind of shout out, grappling.culture. They did I think it's them, did some really, really great mat side interviews
Yeah.
that they captioned and are just awesome. Like that they're interviews that I like because they're getting the athletes kind of pretty raw right after they've competed, and it's kind of their thoughts and a little bit of tactics. Like they're kind of technical interviews that I like about what's your thoughts right now, what you're going in, how is the match, like those sort of questions. And they did a really great interview with Tommy Langakker, with Shane Montague, and a couple of other folks. I've listened to most of them at this point. And again, I don't tend to listen to a lot of athlete interviews right after an event. The style of how they're doing the interviews just like
And they're
captivated me.
pretty short too.
Yeah, they were like
They're not-
1 to 2 minutes, if that. Really, really great interviews. I love the content they're producing over there for the European events. I'm not sure how I hadn't come across them before, but if you like what we do here, you will absolutely like. And they're a much bigger channel and organization than we are. But if you haven't come across them like I hadn't, they put out some really, really good content and really cool like athlete interviews, similar to kind of what I do, but just on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So it was cool, and I really loved it.
He is that much bigger.
Yeah, Henki Julissa is a big dude.
We looked at a picture of him yesterday, and it was an absolute bracket.
So for context, Miranda's pulled up a picture of a bunch of the No-Gi European Championships pictures.
Yeah.
And Henki Julissa, the guy that won the plus 99 European trials
Yeah.
for ADCC
He did-
versus Big Dan.
He did
the
Europeans
Europeans.
in Italy. It was No-Gi Europeans in Italy. And there was a picture of him in the absolute bracket, and he looked huge, and the other guys looked tiny. And then we looked at it, and it said that it was the ultra heavy bracket, and we were like, nah, that's not an ultra heavy bracket.
It's got to be an absolute photo that someone.
But no,
miscaptioned.
that's absolute.
Yeah.
And
So his bracket, those guys were ultra heavy.
Yeah, he's
enormous.
He's an enormous gentleman.
Again, very few guys can lift Big
Yeah,
Dan.
that picture.
Yeah.
And I mean,
When Henke got second, and then he's bigger than the other guys in first.
yeah, it's something. I'm always shorter. Whenever I've ever been on first, the person in second place is always taller than me. But that's just because I'm a small human.
So it was fun. I haven't got a chance to watch really much of the European Championships.
Yeah.
We were busy this weekend with prepping for Fight to Win, doing Fight to Win commentary, and then
Yeah.
trying to kind of get that all together. And then I'm actually, on a side note, ripping apart a bunch of tile in my house.
Yeah.
So that kind of captivated Sunday. We also played D&D Sunday.
Yeah, we did.
So
we do.
Busy weekend so far.
We have a D&D group.
Gonna
with
dive
the
in to
podcast.
some of those. Looks like some great matches
Yeah.
overall. Again, it seems like the IBJJF, the pacing for a lot of the athletes is really changing, and we're seeing a lot more kind of ADCC style pacing from a lot of the athletes, especially the ones that are consistently winning. We did have a final between Oliver Taza and Tommy Langakker, which moves, I think, into the next card we're going to talk about, which is Polaris. So let's start with that one. So this is a rematch now from last week. Tommy Langakker and Oliver Taza aren't the main event for this, but they are probably the third from the top is what I would guess. Just given their history on Polaris,
I would think
and
so too.
They're kind of standing in Europe.
Yeah.
Both of them are guys that frequently compete in Europe. Taza is Lebanon, I think is his. Lebanese, I think is his. He's Canadian Lebanese. I think when he's in Europe, he usually represents Lebanon. I could be incorrect there, but I know when he does the European trials.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
I'm
if
Googling.
I'm wrong,
I'm finding out.
apologies.
Lebanese Canadian. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You were right. You were correct.
I am really curious how
He was born in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm really curious with the Langakker versus Taza match with this. They've mentioned it before. In Polaris, what Polaris rules are we using? Are we using the point rules, the single point rules, or are we using the triple, the 3 round, the 3 time over the rules, or are we using a whole match scoring overview?
I think we're doing the points, aren't we? Doing the
I don't know. Those are for the GP, but sometimes for the super fights they're different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Regardless, I do think, unfortunately, as we preview this, that will kind of inform how these guys play. Taza tends to play a pretty similar game in most of these rule sets. It really the question is really how hard will Taza hunt for the leg and hunt for the sub.
Yeah.
And in a super fight, he tends to be a little more. He is way less concerned in position. He's very willing to sit. He's very willing to sort of go up top and then come back to the bottom if there are no points. Versus an IBJJF, he's going to get scored against for doing that. So it opens up Taza's game a little bit. Langakker is a guy that will also just jump for submissions. Josh said it for years on the show. Tommy Langakker is a guy that you can never count out at any stage of a match because at any point in time, he can pull a rabbit out of his hat.
Yeah,
like
that is
true.
true.
At any point in time, Langakker can be down in whatever and go, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And he'll just submit. He can submit almost anyone in the world. And that's kind of what makes this match really interesting because Taza has such good entries from the bottom. He has such good and kind of complex knee bar entries. And his heel hook entries combo really, really nicely off of his inverted knee bar entries.
But we've also all seen that if he can't get his plan started, if he can't get his game started, then he definitely has a problem going into
We've seen
behavior.
Less of the slow start Taza in the last 2 years almost.
Well, I mean, trials, he was...
Yeah.
He wasn't slow starting.
Active, yeah. That problem, but again, we do see it crop up occasionally. Yeah. I think with a rematch like this from Tommy, and because their match at Euros was so close, I kind of think it'll look really, really similar. Langakker will implement the same plan. I don't know. Again, Taza is one of the best guys from those inverted knee bar and heel hook entries in the world. I don't know how much tighter he can make. He's the best guy in the world at that.
Yeah.
I don't think he can make it any tighter, and I don't know if he will have any other tactics he will be able to change coming into this match in a different rule set versus Tommy, where Tommy won't be able to play a similar game and beat him. I think Langakker beats him on points in Euros, but with this, Taza's attacking style might actually give him an edge, although Langakker, especially if Langakker gets comfortable and having that confidence from the first match goes in and decides to like chuck subs at Taza. But Taza is a guy that is notoriously hard to get anything going on as far as sub-wise.
Yeah.
You don't really want to enter into the legs with him because he's such a strong leg locker, and he's hard to get stuff going upper body unless you like jump over his guard, which Langakker can do.
Yeah.
But he'll do it at the end of a match usually, and it's usually a flying triangle.
Yeah.
And it's been a little inconsistent in the last couple of years because he's just fighting guys at such a high level.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
I don't really have a good pick for this one. I kind of want to go with Langakker.
I want to go with Langakker.
Just because, again, they just met a couple of days ago. Yeah. But it's a toss-up, and that's why it's such a fun match to talk about, because it was such a well-matched pick to begin with. Let's move on to the main event. We have another kind of oddball matchup, Craig Jones versus Gerald Meerschaert. Gerald Meerschaert has really fun grappling. UFC fighter, been in the UFC since like 2016.
And if he is still in the UFC, which we believe so, that means we have no heel hooks.
Right. So for UFC fighters, if you don't know, whenever they do a professional grappling card, because Club Swanson got his knee exploded by Jake Shields, there are no heel hooks for UFC fighters. I think is it leg locks? Sometimes it's leg locks.
Sometimes it's leg locks, but normally it's heel hooks.
Yeah,
to my knowledge,
it all depends on the fighter.
It's funny because he's one of the only MMA fighters that I've met like multiple times.
Gerald?
No, Cub Swanson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cub Swanson's awesome.
I met him a couple times, so then once I was in the same elevator as him.
I used to follow his Snapchat like 15 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, in college.
He's a really nice guy. Like, he's pretty cool. Anyway.
Yeah. If there are no leg locks, this is a specific problem that we have seen Craig Jones have before.
Yeah.
Go back and watch the Adam Bradley match on Fury. If you look to stall out Craig Jones in this rule set and just be active from the top, you can win a close but winnable decision over Craig Jones.
Yeah.
If you try to fight fire with fire on Craig Jones and you give him an inch, he can destroy you. And that's sort of how these matchups go with the UFC fighters for Craig Jones, is really like kind of boring decision, or Craig Jones submits you.
Yeah, and the other thing you have to wonder is Craig Jones has been in 12 countries in the last how many weeks?
Oh, he has been just traveling absolutely everywhere. Because he's been in Volk's Corner.
Yeah.
He's been in...
He made a comment that he's been to like 12 countries in like 2 weeks or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So...
You got to kind of also wonder how the travel schedule is going to affect him.
Yeah, but I don't think he's somebody that has the inability to turn it on and destroy somebody.
Looked amazing at Quintet.
Yeah.
You know, he put on for his team in Quintet.
Yeah.
He's basically, look, I don't want Joseph Chen to go out there and hurt his trials attempt. I got to go out there and submit everyone, and he did. I want to pick Craig Jones. Craig Jones is the pick to make here. He is the champion right now currently in Polaris. I forget what weight class this is. He's the guy that you pick here. But if Meerschaert can play this correctly...
Middleweight.
No.
185. No, what's it called?
Light heavyweight?
Meerschaert is UFC middleweight.
Yeah.
I said that too fast.
I assume it's 205.
Yeah, that's my assumption.
Be what the weight class is. If Meerschaert can stay, basically do what Adam Bradley did.
Yeah.
That is sort of the blueprint to beat Craig Jones, is you kind of got to sit there. I think that Craig Jones will not have that happen to him twice in the same style of matchup. I also think I'm saying his name.
Sean Bradley.
Sean Brady. Sean Brady.
Not Adam Bradley.
Yeah, no, wrong guy.
Though
Sean
Adam Bradley's
Brady.
doing some kind of Mexican Grand Prix tournament.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He was fun at trials too.
Or South American, I should say. I shouldn't say Mexican, but I think it's definitely South American. I was trying to find more information on it, and I completely failed. But it was some random, and I was like, look, Adam Bradley's in the middle of that one. But
Craig Jones should get a triangle here. That's what should happen here.
Yeah.
I assume that Craig will pull. I assume that Gerald will look to pass, and eventually Craig will be able to make some space and either flip him over or triangle him. Again, your options are kind of limited. Craig can go to the back, absolutely, and get the rear naked choke. But I feel like just with kind of how long Meerschaert is and like
Yeah.
his grappling
How
credentials in
It
himself,
is in Mexico. Good.
he will. Craig is gonna struggle to get his neck.
Yeah.
Again, could be wrong, but I think
mean,
that Jones takes.
you never
this
know.
part by
We could
storm.
also see some of Jones trying to wrestle, just because. Why not?
in prep for AD, in
Yeah.
prep for the upcoming
Yeah.
ADCC in a year.
It's not like he's not practicing. He doesn't have people to practice with.
Yeah.
And
been in Volk's camp. He's been in.
Yeah.
I mean, Craig is in phenomenal rooms all the time, even when he's not at B team.
yeah.
But it's just, again, it's a weird, whenever he goes against a UFC guy with the weird taking out all the leg lock, which Craig Jones is
Yeah.
one of, if not the best guy in the world at, it's always a weird
But
kind
I think,
of matchup.
but I think also the last time with Sean Bradley, it seemed like Craig didn't know that rule, because I remember reading or hearing interviews of him, and he was like, "Yeah, at the last minute they told me I couldn't do this, this, and this."
So he had no time to plan
And it
for
was
Sean
like,
Brady.
I don't know if he knew how far ahead he knew that rule existed, and at least now he should know that rule exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I hope we get a great Craig Burns performance. And again, I hope that Gerald looks good too. Meerschaert is in this. It's just you're in the other guy's rule set. It's a very tough hill to climb. So yeah, I think Craig should retain his title here. Also on the card, title fights. We have Kendall Reusing versus Leticia Cardoso.
Yeah.
Again, lots of X factors here.
Yeah.
The last time we saw Kendall compete, I'm
ADCC.
pretty sure it's ADCC.
ADCC. I pulled it up and it said her
Okay.
return. So it is definitely the first time she's competed since ADCC. And so we don't really know what she, has the ability at this point.
Yeah, she's done the surgery.
She did.
She's healed. She's recovered. She's back to training, but it's been a year. It's now technically been more than a year.
Yeah.
The last time we saw Kendall compete, she's been doing great commentary, post-fight. We've seen her, but it's such an X factor after a year and after a major surgery. We've seen plenty of athletes come back after major surgeries. That time off actually sort of seems to have done them well. We've seen other athletes come off after major surgeries or kind of life events, and they look completely different, not necessarily better. So I'm going to go into this matchup thinking that Kendall is a very similar grappler to what she looked like at ADCC.
Yeah.
Because I think that anything else is just guessing. And Leticia Cardoso, I think we can go back and look at all her matches at Worlds. We watched a match on the pre-show, her versus Baby Vieira and versus Liz Mitrovic at the World Championships.
Yeah, she's been competing the whole time and winning. And
very heavy top pressure game, very methodical through the guard, doesn't seem to push a really, really heavy pace. And Kendall can work in bursts. And we see Kendall work in burst pacing and can kind of lull you into a false sense of security, especially in No-Gi, and then judo and wrestle you to the ground and take great top position and has great scrambles. I think that Kendall will most likely be able to get Cardoso down here.
I'm gonna do the opposite.
You're going to do the opposite here.
I'm doing the opposite.
So you think Kendall from guard, I think Cardoso from guard.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So how do you think this goes? I think...
See, and then not knowing the rules is the other problem.
Yeah, everything.
But I think the time with Kendall, I don't know if going into an open weight title match over a year after your last match is really the smartest thing to really pull off.
We've also seen Kendall hop into trials and win.
Yeah, I mean,
Kendall's...
some people have that ability. But I don't know if she is going to have that ability. I'm going to go with Cardoso only because Cardoso's been competing nonstop.
Yeah, you kind of wonder. We've seen the ring rust is real.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. We've seen plenty of athletes talk about, I hadn't, didn't get my feet. We've interviewed people before, and they talk about, I took some time off and I just wasn't ready for the pace or wasn't ready. All I'm seeing from Cardoso is just heavy lifting, training, competing, and it seems like Kendall's doing a lot of commentary and competing and a lot of other things. I'm less confident
than you would normally.
Yeah, than I would normally. Kendall has surprised me so many times with impressive and great performances, but it's just a big X factor with her camp and with this big, with this injury and coming back.
And pacing.
and pacing. But
Pacing,
Cardoso's not one that really pushes a super, super heavy pace. I think
No, but
Kendall,
if you
coming off, will be willing to maybe push a faster pace than Cardoso is going to push. That's a piece, actually, I think we have a pretty good style matchup for. It's just who ends up in the guard.
Yeah.
Or do they really spend most of the match on the feet? If they spend most of the match on the feet, I give the edge to Kendall.
Yeah.
You give the edge to Leticia. Maybe. Second guessing now.
Yeah, I might be second guessing that, but
I think this match will weirdly come down to guard work.
Yeah.
And I think the person that ends up on top in the exchange will win this matchup. I don't think we're going to see a submission here.
So it's kind of like a big boy.
A little bit. Yeah, it's going to be
like whoever falls to the bottom is going to lose.
Yeah, because the person on top is going to be able to kind of dictate what they're doing and maintain the hips and maintain the hip line and really prevent like a really wide open guard. We know Cardoso will tends to play more of a lasso guard in the gi.
Some people can play that in no-gi.
Kendall will go under you and sweep you over, which I think she can do to Cardoso, but this is just it's just such an X factor match coming in.
Yeah. So that one.
Let's circle back to that. I don't have a good answer for this.
I don't have a good answer, and we're not going to circle back because I don't think I don't think our decisions are going to.
It's going to be. I have a guess.
Yeah. So my guess is Cardoso, but we'll see.
Also on this card, we have Owen Jones versus I'm going to blank on the gentleman's name. Bart Doubleman.
Yeah. Okay.
Owen Jones is the is the European Trials champion for ADCC. Took out Ash Williams.
66.
At 66, took out Ash Williams and took out I'm blanking on the gentleman's name. Had a great run.
Yeah.
And Polaris has an interview from him, like maybe the last time he was on the prelims for Polaris. He's not on the prelims now, obviously. They're basically like, I want to take out this guy in no-gi, this guy in no-gi, this guy in no-gi, and like he's taken out two of the guys already. He beat Ash Williams, and that was like one of the guys he wanted to beat. He goes, I want to spend myself as one of the as the best
Sean
guy
McNally?
in Europe. Maybe it was Sean McNally. Maybe that's who took out early. I'm less familiar with Bart's game, but man, I have been impressed with Owen Jones, and his run at under 66 kilos came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and I'm excited.
I think he's a purple belt.
He's your trials champion. Like we're a no-gi. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's like,
but I mean, that's why we don't know much of him because like we haven't really seen him.
We haven't seen him on the big international events.
I mean, he's been on Polaris, but like I said,
he's been on Grapplefest as well. He's been
he's been around.
Been in the UK events.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's Owen Jones.
Yeah, that'll be.
I think he has.
I think he's going to be the next like big European breakout star, because man, he looked good at under 66 kilos at ADCC. Next, also on the card, we have Molly McCann versus I'm going to blank on her first name. Owen Jones is
Julia Scardone.
Julia Scardone,
which is Owen Livesey's wife, I believe.
I think that's correct.
It's his partner.
This is, again, another UFC matchup. Molly McCann in the UFC. Great grappling, super exciting grappling versus Scardone, who I don't really know much about her game. Should be fun. Molly McCann comes to bring it. I assume if your spouse is Owen Livesey, you have a pretty good, well-rounded stand-up game. So this, honestly,
I think she's a judo. I think she's a judoka.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
It wouldn't surprise me if she doesn't have a very similar game to him.
I usually am not a big fan of like, it's going to be on the feet. I think this one could be a lot of fun on the feet.
Yeah.
Both these ladies, I feel like are going to throw hard on the feet.
Yeah.
This should be exciting. So that's the main card for Polaris. We also have a bunch of stuff on the prelims and some folks that I'm probably missing. Oh, here it is. We have Max Bickerton versus Marcin Machuliewicz, who is the Polaris qualifier. I hope I got that close. Marcin, we saw him at the Polaris GP with the Kynan one.
Yeah.
And we talked about on that show like how happy we were that Polaris ran a qualifier and gave someone the opportunity to go and win a qualifier. Yeah. Again, we talked about the most famous qualifier winners that we talk about are Keith Krikorian was originally a 10th Planet qualifier winner that put him on to EBI. Pedro Mourinho was a Kasai qualifier winner. Juni Ocasio, who just won the European Championships no-gi, was originally a Kasai qualifier.
Yeah.
Like these folks that you don't know about winning opportunity. ADCC is an unknown qualifier like showcase to win your spot into a big event. Marcin is back on Polaris after being the qualifier there, and I'm super happy to see him take on Max Beckerton. We're definitely going to talk about that match because, again, I love if you can win a qualifying event, it is usually indicative of you having a pretty special selection of skills and having a pretty good career trajectory, if anything. That's one thing I've learned on the show over all the years. Like, guys that win qualifiers, big name qualifiers, keep an eye out because in a couple years they're going to be winning major events sooner than you expected. So that's Polaris. Let's see. Do we have anything else going on? We have I want to run through. The show's a little shorter this week. We have some announcements for Grapplefest. Is there anything else on Polaris you want to talk about?
No.
Okay. Some announcements for Grapplefest. I think the main event for this one is Owen O'Flanagan versus William Tackett.
Yeah.
We just saw William Tackett at Trials. Go back and watch him at Trials.
Yeah.
I got some footage of his matches, and man, that guy looking good.
Yeah, he did.
I am very excited to see him take on Owen. Owen's got a great leg lock game. William's got a great leg lock game. William's got some great wrestling. Like, again, he won trials at 77 kilos for West Coast Trials for ADCC. Owen won European trials. This is, again, a battle of those top-level guys. Great match for Grapplefest. Very, very excited for it. We'll preview it later when we get closer to it.
Yeah.
We have Cody Steele versus Jack Grant. That will be fun. We have Andrew Tackett versus Elias Younger. That should be fun. Ashley Bendo versus Maria Kelly. Should be a lot of fun. We have Caleb Tackett, the younger Tackett, versus Christian
we have all the Tacketts.
Yeah, we have all the Tacketts. And we got Shane Curtis versus Stevie Ray on this. Plus, we also have Nora Schultz versus Gami Canoe. Yeah. She's the woman. She just won the brown belt Europeans.
Yeah.
I think she's dating Cody Steele.
She is.
And she's looked really, really good. When we have seen it, we saw her at Trials, right?
Yeah, she was at Trials.
It was really impressive at Trials.
Yeah.
Like, who's that? Like, oh,
yeah,
she is very good. So again, Grapplefest is bringing the heat. This card. This happens on November 18th in Liverpool. So look forward to that when that card rolls around. We're going to preview that. But that's all I got. Anything else going on this week? Anything fun? We're covering for Fight to Win.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything going on this week. I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead.
I just have commentary prep this week for Copa Virginia. Again, I love going down to Virginia. Going down with Zach to do commentary for the cash prize division at Copa Virginia.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That'll
Should
be
be
a
a
good
lot of
time.
fun.
No, I don't think I have anything going on, but you never know.
You'll jump to the next thing.
You know, yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what's on the horizon. But some nice European cards, which is fun.
Oh yeah, we have back-to-back European stuff.
Yeah, but
which
we
is
also
kind of rare
have
for us.
Well, yeah. I think in the midst we have a couple American things, but not much.
Who's number one, I think?
Who's number one's the end of the month.
It's
the end of November 30th.
So we'll preview that in, I think, about 3 weeks.
And then the thing that I just found is in Mexico, but it's definitely at the end of the month. And that might be interesting just because it's another set of talent. That's November 18th, so it's like middle of the month.
Oh, interesting enough. We have Midwest Finishers November 11th, and we have the Finishers Open.
Oh, the qualifier.
The qualifier for who's number one slot.
Yeah.
So I love that. And Zach Mazzolani has a little interview on his Instagram.
It's the 170 qualifier, right? Is it 170?
Doesn't say.
I think it is. I think
170 wouldn't surprise me. I would love to see Max Hanson win that. That would be kind of cool to see him win that and then get on who's number one.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That is a really easy way. Not easy, but it's a way for him to get in.
We have the ADCC Florida Open happening this weekend,
and it's sold out.
Mm-hmm. It's like 1,600 competitors.
I know. I debated doing that. If I didn't do Fight to Win, I was going to do that. That was my second plan.
We have November 24th. We have the first Asian trials, the Asian and Oceanic Championships are happening in Singapore. So look out for a new Asian and Oceanic champion end of November.
Maine is going to be watching flights to see if he can go to Singapore.
Oh yeah. We found a new flight thing today. Oh yeah, for sure. Looking to go to Singapore to watch trials. And then we have the European trials announced for February 17th, I think. In Croatia?
Maybe. Yes, Croatia. I remember that
And
much.
then we also have West Coast Trials for ADCC announced March 30th and 31st, and the World Championships for ADCC August 14th.
Yeah.
So we are ramping up,
Yeah.
into ADCC season that now seemingly never stops. So I feel like this is how the rest of the sports world goes, where it's like you're just in one continuous grind.
Pretty
but
much.
It should be a lot of fun. And we also have, end of the month, Gordon Ryan versus Lucas Hulk Barbosa. Gordon Ryan's quest to submit everyone that he has not submitted before. So I got nothing else, Miranda. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine. It's my co-host,
Miranda.
and we have the Grappling Rewind. See you on the mat what it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
Let us know.
reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.